Have you ever been hit so hard that it knocked you unconscious? How about getting hit so hard that it forced you to stop playing sports for the rest of your life? Athletes all over the world experience this all the time, and it's not just at the professional level. Many athletes who are dishing out these late hits can always conclude that their hit was solid, clean, and well within the time of play. But when you see a player's helmet fly off, them getting knocked unconscious, or even seeing an arm or a leg snap, who is the one to blame? The athlete for injuring him or herself, or for the other athlete for delivering that unnecessary late hit? Good afternoon, class. My name is Parker Allsteins, and it'll be my pleasure to be persuading you on such a controversial topic in sports. The athletes who play dirty and who are out to hurt each other may be someone you know as a sibling, friend, or teammate. Throughout my research, watching hundreds of televised games, and my own personal experience of getting hit, I feel that I'm fully qualified to be persuading you on this topic. First off, I will be persuading you on the need to heavily enforce the rule of the late hit penalty. Secondly, the consequences for delivering a late hit. And third and finally, the health risk these athletes now have to endure for the rest of their lives. First, we will touch on the need to heavily enforce the rule of the late hit penalty in professional and non-professional sporting events. Thousands of athletes every day are becoming victims of late hits and unnecessary roughness through the participation in sports. Late hits are causing injuries to athletes everywhere. But what does the late hit penalty really mean? Well, according to the NCAA official rulebook, Article 7 states that a late hit is ruled after play has been stopped by the whistle and a player throws him or herself onto an opponent who's either lying on the ground or standing up. Now, this ruling is for all players in the field of play. However, there is another late hit ruling designed specifically for quarterbacks. According to the NCAA official rulebook, Article 9 states that after the passer releases the ball, a defender takes 2 strides and charges into the passer, showing no attempt to avoid contact. Even if they severely injure another player or quarterback during the play, both of these rulings are just 15-yard penalties, and that's it. Nothing else more comes from it. Professional athletes' careers are becoming shorter and shorter every year due to these vicious hits. According to the NFL Players Association, the average career of an NFL player is just 3.3 years. Roughly 3 years are all these players are good for, and it's due to the reoccurrence of getting hit over and over again. These athletes shouldn't have to work and devote their entire lives to becoming a professional for just roughly 3 years of playing ability. If these players were more protected by the league and weren't getting hit all the time, they could easily extend their careers to 4 to 6 years. Referees in the league need to step up and eliminate the ability for these late hits to happen. However, according to the NFL rulebook, the late hit penalty is decided by the referee's opinion on if a player was hit after the play or if the whistle had been blown, which would signal the end of the play. Now that we have touched on the need to enforce the late hit penalty, we will discuss the consequences for delivering a late hit. Organizations like the NFL can help stop late hits from happening with necessary rules implicated throughout the season. Some consequences the NFL should do and consider include: the first offense for a late hit should result with a fine. The NFL does fine players for unnecessary actions, but these fines are small dollar amounts, like $5,000 to $10,000. And the average NFL player makes over $3 million per year. So a small $5,000 to $10,000 fine is nothing to them. However, the NFL needs to increase their fines to maybe $30,000 to $50,000, and maybe then the players will realize and understand the consequences given for their actions. The second offense for a late hit should result with a fine and suspension. The suspension should last roughly 2 to 3 games, and the fine should still be between $30,000 and $50,000. Finally, the third offense for a late hit should result in expulsion from the league, receive no salary until next season, and pay for any medical bills that player caused to the opponent. Now that we have touched on the consequences for delivering a late hit, we will finally discuss the potential health risks these athletes now have to endure for the rest of their lives. Despite lack of interest, the NFL has improved their rules and regulations for athlete safety within the last 20 years. The NFL Commissioners Board is now stating within the rules that any hit above the shoulders is now considered a penalty, and any hit to a player trying to give themselves up, which means running out of bounds or sliding on the ground, is now also considered a penalty. If a player receives just one blow to the head or neck area, they can receive permanent brain damage for the rest of their life. According to the National Center for Health and Research, a new study has found that 110 out of 111 deceased former NFL football players had evidence of CTE or permanent brain damage as a result of repeated blunt force trauma due to playing football. To summarize this topic, I first persuaded you on the need to enforce the rule of the late hit penalty. Secondly, on the consequences for delivering a late hit. And third and finally, on the potential health risks these athletes now have to endure for the rest of their lives. In conclusion, through the research and information we have discussed today, I encourage you to support the late hit penalty. We desperately need this rule to be heavily enforced in every sport because athletes like you, friends, and family members will be playing in contact sports during high school, college, and the professional level. And without enforcing this policy, athletes can not only have their career end instantly, but they can potentially have permanent brain damage for the rest of their life. Thank you.